Hello everyone, Tech1421 here. Welcome back to another Pokemon TCG online gameplay commentary. We have a new set out there, and that is the Phantom Forces set. And this is one of my favorite sets since I've been playing competitive Pokemon, and since I've been playing the card game, really. One of my favorite sets out there was Plasma Storm, and that was my favorite set. And now I think Phantom Forces is in first place for me. It has a lot of different goodies in this set, and I just love it. And this Night March deck that I'm playing in this game is one of the decks that have emerged from this new Phantom Forces deck, Phantom Forces set that has come out. It came out around I think it was like November 5th or so. By the time you're gonna be watching this video, I think it's gonna be like November 19th or so. I think I'm gonna put it out on Thursday. Actually, no, Wednesday, November 19th. And so, yeah, it's been about a week and a half, 2 weeks or so since the set has come out. And I have not put out many videos recently. And the main reason for this is because I have been sick. And it sucked, but I've been sick. And I've been playing a lot of Pokemon online, but I have not been able to do commentaries on these videos. Finally, I'm starting to get over my illness of being sick. I had a bad cough, and it just sounded bad, but I think I'm getting over it, and I'm kind of near the end of my sickness, my illness, whatever you want to call it, and finally have time to do these videos. So this gameplay, we're going to be talking about the Night March deck. Before we do that, I did want to mention, if you guys want to give me any code cards and help support the channel, that'd be greatly appreciated. If you do send me any code cards, just PM me the code cards. If you want to get into contact with me, PM me. I check my PMs pretty regularly. I don't check them as much as I do comments, but maybe if you PM me, just let me know. Maybe in the comment section, say, hey, I PM'd you, Tack. Maybe you want to look at my message, and I'll be like, sure, and then I'll check it out. But if you want to give me any code cards, that'd be greatly appreciated. If you do give me any code cards, I'll be sure to mention you in like the videos that I use, like the packs or whatever, when I open any packs up online, or if I get something good from a pack that you gave me and I put it in a video, I'll be sure to mention you and all that stuff. It just helps support the channel. It helps me build these decks quicker. I do want to play with these decks. I want to showcase all these decks, and I want to kind of help anyone learn how to play with these decks. And I'm a huge believer that when you play with decks, kind of like League of Legends, when you play with a champion, you don't only learn how to play that champion, you also learn how to play against that champion by just kind of knowing what they're capable of. Likewise with Pokemon, if you play a certain deck and you get good at it, you know the ins and outs of those decks, then you also can learn how to play against those decks by learning basically what they're capable of and kind of their ins and outs of the decks, and kind of how much damage they can dish out, what their strengths and weaknesses are, who to go for, who to attack, who not to attack, all that stuff, just kind of how to play against them. So by watching these videos, you don't only kind of witness a kind of a cool deck in action, you also get to see maybe how to play against these decks if you do witness them in tournaments or online, wherever, leagues or anything like that. So yeah, that's kind of my theory behind playing different decks and learning how to play them, learning how to play against them, all that good stuff. So by getting these cards, where was I going with that? Essentially, by getting these cards, I get to build more decks, I get to play with more decks, I get to showcase more decks, and that's what this series is all about. This is, what everything on my YouTube channel is all about, is kind of showcasing all these decks in action. So the Night March deck is the deck that we're playing with today, and now that we're kind of 4 minutes into this gameplay, we'll finally kind of talk about that for the remainder of the gameplay, and we'll kind of mention the gameplay in the background a little bit and what we're doing. So right now we're one prize up, and I think he's going to kill me here, so we're essentially going to be even the prize trade, but I'm going to try to knock him out after he knocks me out, because essentially he's playing with EX Pokemon. I'm using all, basic, whatever you want to call them, Pokemon, Stage 1 and Basics, non-EX Pokemon, I should say, in my deck. So, yeah. that's what I'm doing. That's what my deck is kind of built around, is all these just non-EX Pokemon. And yeah, so the Night March cards, there's 3 total Pokemon that have this Night March ability, this Night March attack. It's not ability, it's attack. And the 3 Pokemon are Joltik, which I just put into the active there. Joltik is a 30 HP basic Pokemon. It has very low HP, but it hits for a lot of damage in a hurry. If you attach a DCE for 2 colorless energy, it does 20 times the amount of Pokemon in your discard pile that have this Night March attack. Like I said, there are 3 total Pokemon. If you stick in 4 copies of all 3 Pokemon, you essentially have 12 of these Pokemon in your deck. And the idea is just to put these Pokemon into your discard pile and have, about 9 or so in there. So you're dishing out 180 damage to these big EX Pokemon. And you can knock them out for, a DC, which is kind of crazy to think about. So you'll see me do it in this gameplay as well as other gameplays in the future. And yeah, it's a crazy good combination. The other 2 you may have seen. Another basic, which is Pumpkaboo. Pumpkaboo attacks for 3 colorless energy, and that's why we're going to be using Dimensional Valley. You may have seen that in the deck, and we'll talk about that card later. Dimensional Valley is very good. We'll talk about it later. But Pumpkaboo, for 3 colorless energy, does the same attack 20 times the amount of Pokemon that have this Night March attack in your discard pile. So it's very, very good combination. And then the third one is Lampent, which is a stage 1 Pokemon. And we're not going to be using it to attack. We're just going to be trying to get in a discard pile. I don't play the basic, which is the Litwick or whatever it's called, the candle guy. And I don't play any of those, but I do play Lampent. And essentially, we're just going to be trying to get that card in discard pile as quickly as possible. Now, there are many different ways to get these cards into your discard pile to hit for a bunch of damage early on in the game. And the primary way is also a new card in this set, and that is Battle Compressor. And I love Battle Compressor. I play 4 in this deck, and I would argue that it's one of the better cards in the set. And you'll see it a lot in different decks. I think it's really common in this Night March deck, but you'll see it again in a lot of different decks out there. It's very common in things like fire-type decks, where you want to get rid of fire-type, fire energy, put them in the discard pile, and, blacksmith or so. But what Battle Compressor does is allows you to take 3 different cards from your deck and stick them directly into the discard pile. So you've probably seen me do this earlier in the gameplay. I have one in my hand here, so I'll be doing that in a second once I Ultra Ball and figure out what I want Ultra Ball for. But it does one of 2 things. It allows you to thin out your deck, which is huge late game. You see here, I'm not using it to discard Pokemon. I'm using it to discard cards that I don't need and I don't want to draw into. And essentially, if I discard cards that I don't need, it gives me a higher % chance of getting these cards that I want to draw into later in the game. If my opponent ends me, puts me down to a low amount of cards in my hand, I still have this higher % chance of getting the cards that I want later in the game. It also allows me to stick in cards that I want in the discard pile. Things like these Night March Pokemon and stuff like that. So Battle Compressor is really, really strong. It's a very good card, and it really helps in this deck. So I could stick my Lampets are the first thing I want to stick in the discard pile. Then I can stick in my Joltiks or my Pumpkaboos, whatever I want, and we can just go from there. This deck has really good coverage. Joltik hits things like Yveltal, Lugia for ×2 with the weakness, with the lightning weakness there, and it hits things like Deoxys and Mewtwo with the Pumpkaboo. I also play Flareon, and Flareon hits things like any grass type Pokemon for weakness. And I stuck in the Flareons in the deck because I thought, hey, we are, trying to get Pokemon to discard pile with the Night March attack. So why not throw in the Flareons, because it's kind of the same concept of getting Pokemon to discard pile, hitting for a lot of damage late in the game. So that is the game. I will go in more depth of this deck and kind of ins and outs of it. I know I didn't mention a few cards. We'll talk more about different ways to play this deck, different kind of combinations with this deck. There are a lot of different combos out there, different deck lists out there, and I'll kind of talk about why I like mine the best with the Flareon cards and the EV evolutions and all that, opposed to different things like Mew EX and Celebi EX and stuff like that. We'll talk about that more in the next episode of Pokemon TCG Online. I have more decks out there that I want to get to, things like Crobat and Malamar, and I'm a huge fan of the new Dialga EX out there with Bronzor. We'll get to decks like that in the future. Please leave a like down below. That'd be greatly appreciated. Again, if you want to come into contact with me and give me some code cards, I would greatly appreciate that. That allows me to make these decks and get more videos out there for the future. So I hope you guys enjoyed this gameplay. Let me know how you like the Night March deck, and I'll see everyone next time. Peace.
You did it, Psyduck! Psyduck!